Good morning and welcome to our public celebration of Swami Vivekananda's birthday. We'll start with some Vedic chanting by the Sri Sharada nuns. That'll be followed by a panel session with myself and Vivek Trivedi. We're going to be exploring the theme, the digital world, problems and prospects, a Vedantic view. That'll be followed by some chanting by some of the children in our children's class. And then our guest nun, Prabhajika Aloka Pranaji, will be presenting a talk and PowerPoint presentation on Karma Yoga and practical Vedanta. And then you're all invited to please stay back and join us for lunch. Now I'll invite the nuns to come and do the Vedic chanting.
We'll chant the Narayana Sukta. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May Brahman protect us both together. May he nourish us both together. May we both work together with great energy. May our study be vigorous and effective. May we not hate each other. May peace, physical, mental, and spiritual, be on us forever. Om Sahasrasirisham Devam Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam Vishwam Narayanam Devamaksharam Paramam Padam Vishwata Paramanityam Vishwam Narayanagum Harim Vishwamevedam Purushastad Vishwamupajivati Patim Vishwasyatmeshwaragum Shashwatagum Shivamachyutam Narayanam Mahatmyam Vishwatmanam Parayanam. This universe is truly the divine person only. Therefore, it subsists on him, the self-effulgent divine being who has many heads and many eyes, who is the producer of joy for the universe, who is the master and the cause of humanity, whose forms are the various gods, who is imperishable, who is the all-surpassing ruler and savior, who is superior to the world, who is endless and omniform, who is the goal of humanity, who is the destroyer of sin and ignorance, who is the protector of the universe and the ruler of individual souls, who is permanent, supremely auspicious, and unchanging, who has embodied himself in man as his support, being the indwelling spirit, who is the supremely worthy of being known by the creatures, who is embodied in the universe, and who is the supreme goal. Narayana paro jyotiratma Narayana paraha Narayana param brahma tattvam Narayana paraha Narayana paro dhyata dhyanam Narayana paraha. Narayana is the supreme light described in the Upanishads. Narayana is the supreme reality designated as Brahman. Narayana is the highest self. Narayana is the infinite self. Narayana is the most excellent meditator and meditation. Yacha kinjit jagat sarvam drishyate shruyate piva andarbahishcha tat sarvam vyapya narayana sthitah. Whatsoever there is in this world, known through perception because of their proximity, or known through report because of their distance, all that is pervaded by Narayana within and without. Anandamavyayam kavigum samudrendam vishwashambhuvam padmakosha pratikashagum hridayam chapyadhomukham. One should meditate upon the Supreme, the limitless, unchanging, all-knowing cause of the happiness of the world, dwelling in the sea of one's own heart as the goal of all striving. The place for his meditation is the ether in the heart which is comparable to an inverted lotus bud. Adho nishtyavitasyande nabhyamuparitishthati jwalamala kulam bhati vishwasyayatanam mahat. It should be known that the heart which is located just at the distance of a finger span below the Adam's apple and above the navel is the great abode of the universe. Santadagum shilabhistu lambatya kosha sannibham tasyante sushiragum sukshmam tasmin sarvam pratishtitam. Like the bud of a lotus in an inverted position hangs the heart surrounded by arteries. In it, there is a narrow space, or near it, there is a narrow space called Sushumna. In it, everything is supported. Tasya madhye mahanagnir vishwarchir vishwato mukhaha sograbhu vibhajan dishtannaharamajara kavihi tirya gurdhamadhashayi rashmayastasya santataha sandapayate swam dehamapadatalamastakaha tasya madhye vannishika aniyordhva vyavasthitaha Nilato yada madhyastha vidyullekhe vabhasvara nivara shukavattvanvi pita bhasvatyanupama. In the middle of that narrow space of the heart or Sushumna remains the undecaying, all-knowing, omni-faced great fire, which has flames on every side, which enjoys the food presented before it, which remains assimilating the food consumed, the rays of which spread, scattering themselves vertically and horizontally, and which warms its own body from the insole, the crown. In the center of that fire, which permeates the whole body, there abides a tongue of fire of the color of shining gold, which is the topmost among the subtle, which is dazzling like the flash of the lightning that appears in the middle of a rain-bearing cloud, which is as slender as the awn of a paddy grain, and which serves as a comparison to illustrate subtlety. Tasya shikhaya madhye paramatma vyavasthitaha Sabrahma Sashiva Sahari Sendra Sokshara Paramaswarat. Paramatman dwells in the middle of that flame. Although he is thus limited, still he is the four-faced creator, Shiva, Vishnu, Indra, the material and efficient cause of the universe, and the supreme self-luminous pure consciousness. Ritagum Satyam Param Brahma Purusham Krishna Pingalam Urdhvaretam Virupaksham Vishwarupaya Vai Namo Namaha. Supreme Brahman, the absolute reality, has become an androgynous person in the form of Uma Maheshwara, dark blue and reddish brown in hue, absolutely chaste and possessing uncommon eyes. Salutations to him, who alone is the soul of the universe. Om Narayanaaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sad. Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu. May we know Narayana. For that, may we meditate on Vasudeva. May Vishnu impel us towards it. Om, peace, peace, peace.
Now we go into the next item in the program, a little panel discussion, exploring digital world problems and prospects, Vedantic perspectives. Just give us a few minutes to get set up for that. A little bit of organizing to do. Testing. 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 As announced, the theme for this little panel session is a very topical one: digital world, problems and prospects, Vedantic perspectives. And joining me here on the panel is our good friend, a member of our society, Vivek Trivedi. He's the Chief Executive Officer and founder of the award-winning IT company Exegotech. But he's also inspired by the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, and Vedanta. He's the husband of our committee member, Ami, and they're the proud and loving parents of 2 sons. So I'm just going to make some introductory comments for the theme. Modern humans emerged over 300,000 years ago. Let's get the next slide in. And it's only 50 to 65,000 years ago that humanity made its first technological leap in the form of bows, spears, throwers, fishhooks, ceramics, sewing needles, the art and mastery of seafaring, which interestingly enough we know because the first humans arrived here via sea over 50,000 years ago. Around 12,000 years ago, humanity developed agriculture, and the scholars humorously observed that humanity became slaves of wheat. Wheat needed our constant care and attention, and it rewarded us with a steady food supply. Giving proper care to wheat and other crops, humanity moved away from its hunter-gatherer wandering habits, and it led to domestication, to homes, villages, towns, and cities. And these settlements provided the time and the means for innovation and inventions. One of these inventions led to a fundamental shift in humanity's history. That is the printing press, invented in 1436 by Joseph Gutenberg. Now, the printing press ushered in an era of mass communication. It permanently altered the structure of society. It gave access to knowledge to the masses, and it took us from an entirely oral tradition to a print-based culture. And we'll tease that out later. That's quite interesting. So anyway, in other words, access to knowledge was democratized for the first time in history. Today, humanity's entered a new stage of evolution, another technological leap, and that's suddenly elevated us from Homo sapiens to Homo Deus, to veritable gods. We've entered the age of digitization, and this morning we're going to explore the potential and the challenges that the digital world poses. And we're going to be dipping into the timeless wisdom of Vedanta to guide us in managing this new amazing resource at our fingertips. So just a few perspectives here, a few little quotes I've gleaned from one of the Swamis and from the Upanishads. Happiness and misery from distant events brought into our sense world with hitherto unimaginable sense of realism. This is Swami Yanishananda's reflection on the impact of the digital world on us now. The danger is not so much from AI or the digital world itself, than from a person's natural propensity to look outside of oneself for fulfillment. And to quote from the Upanishads, the self-existent Supreme Lord inflicted, it's an interesting way to put this, isn't it? Inflicted an injury upon the sense organs in creating them with outgoing tendencies. Therefore, a human perceives only outer objects with them and not the inner self. That's the big challenge for us now. We're being drawn out into the sense world more and more. But a calm person wishing for immortality beholds the inner self with eyes closed, sight turned inwards. And then there's a few little, well, not cynical, but little hits at the digital world by this Shoshana Zuboff. We thought that we searched Google, but now we understand that Google searches us. We assumed that we used social media to connect, but we learned that connection is how social media uses us. Privacy policies are actually surveillance policies. A few little hard-hitting reflections. But now I might get some observations from Vivek about this. And by the way, Vivek, I'm not, the theme is this, it's not a critique of the digital world, rather it's alerting us both to its challenges and both to its prospects, of course. So we're not going to be negative and taking little digs at it. We're going to be a bit positive about it.
First of all, thank you for this opportunity, Pranam Mataji. And of course, I'm from the digital world, so of course, I will not say too much negative things about the digital world. But my perception, and pardon me if I offend someone from that spiritual land into the digital land because of my own perceptions. But what I feel that there is a lot of similarity between the Vedantic philosophy and the digital philosophy, because the Vedantic philosophy came from this spiritual land where the digital world was created by us. So it has a lot of interconnection. And what I feel that the philosophy of Vedanta, the philosophy of Vedanta probably lies between these four pillars. One being self-realization, that is number one. The second thing is about interconnection of all the beings together. Uh, looking for or pursuing for what we call knowledge. And the last one is about wisdom, right? Which comes out of that part of it. I think so the digital world has missed out on the wisdom part. It fulfills the top three very, very nicely. So when the digital world was created, it was created for interconnectivity, which is part of the Vedantic philosophy. It was for communicating in a better way, expressing your in a better way. Uh, Either it can be connection with other human beings, or it can be sharing of knowledge, to gain knowledge and things like that. It also helps in self-management in some ways. So for example, things which were done in a longer process, digital world helped in process management to make it much more faster, quicker. Um, so there is definitely a interconnection with this world which was created by us, which we call now a digital world. So there are a lot of perceptions about the pros and cons of it and things like that. But I feel the digital world has really enabled us to force us to think in a different perspective. When we talk about religion nowadays, we always feel that the next generation is not as devoted as the previous generation, right? But we also live with the opposite perception as well, that, oh, I'm more intelligent than my previous generation. Okay, so a father will say, my child is very intelligent than what I was at his age, right? But then they are not understanding that the new age generation is not asking to change the concepts of spirituality or the concepts of religion. It is just saying that we have a different view of the way we want to lead through our digital companions. And that is what I personally feel, that the digital world and the Vedantic view have some interconnection with each other to really help balance this part. So that is my initial view on what you said. So
Yeah, that's very good, Vivek. Thank you very much. Very, very good observations. And there's a few more slides here, and we're going to be teasing out various aspects of it, the challenges and the potential it has. And maybe we will move on to the next slide. Quite a bit of explaining to do with this one, this distractibility. So again, harking back to our hunter-gatherer ancestry, that we had this primeval survival need to be very distracted and hyper aware. We were out there in a natural environment. We were in danger of being attacked by wild animals. There were warring tribes. We needed to be hypersensitive. And so that's a kind of a type of restlessness that was required for our survival. Then about 7,000 years ago, these meditative practices began to arise. And that was the first time maybe that humanity really began to develop a more focused mind. But of course, that was only just a small section of the community. But again, getting back to this invention of the printing press, we're going to tease that out a bit more. Humanity learned to read, or that is, the masses learned to read. It wasn't just the scholars and the monastics who it was confined to them, that ability to read. The printing press opened it up. The other thing, though, is that you think about it, when these masses learn to read. What happens when you read? For the first time, to quote, you've got sustained, unbroken attention to a single static object. That's interesting, isn't it? That the first time the masses were developing that sort of capacity. We developed the ability to shut out external distractions, and it prompted humanity, the most social of creatures, to engage in a solitary pursuit. When you read, you sit there and you mostly read alone. Reading also introduced a rigid linearity to how we acquired information. So through learning to read, to quote the social researcher Hugh Mackay, we submitted ourselves to the discipline of tackling one word after another, reading from, well, for English readers in most languages, we're reading from left to right, line after line. Now, the implications of that was that humanity was conditioned to see the world through the filter of the printed word, and it encouraged us to admire linear logical patterns. So this is pretty profound when you tease this out. This reinforced a rational view of life and the world, and that prompted this whole rise of the age of enlightenment, and this greater emphasis on rational thinking, rational outlook. So that's quite an impact. So now we need to reflect on the difference between, well, we also need to reflect on this, the difference between acquiring knowledge from a printed page and through reading from a screen, compared to the old age world of knowledge gained orally. When we used to sit at the feet of the wise folk, the knowledgeable elder, we would do it in a group setting. We're in the company of others. It was a shared experience. And as we listened, we soaked up their knowledgeable words, but there was also their tone of voice, the pauses, the emphases, the atmosphere, of shared emotions. You know, there's just so much being conveyed by being before someone and getting information orally. So anyway, all these aspects to this. And to quote someone was saying, through reading, our minds evolved from animalhood to humanhood, and through meditation and spiritual disciplines, our minds ascend from the human to the divine. Now, to get to our topic, acquiring knowledge digitally, it's a mixed bag of pluses and minuses. So, of course, as we know, the digital world provides us with this magical, miraculous ability to access all the knowledge of the ages. But on the other hand, it provokes us into a scattered, restless clicking and flicking and scanning, and we get drawn into rabbit holes of loosely related threads. We're always challenged by that. And educationists have detected that knowledge gained digitally, the problem there is it doesn't quite permeate as deeply into our mind as compared to reading some printed material, for example. I mean, we're talking a bit generally here, I realize, but they have noticed there is a qualitative difference, and that's something we need to be aware of. So maybe we're going full circle here, that the digital world, if we're not careful, we can revert into that distracted, scattered sort of mental state, and losing that ability to focus. So I'd like to get to hear Vivek's thoughts on this.
Once again, coming from the digital world, I agree to disagree on that part of it. Because knowledge is still knowledge, the medium has changed. A book has become a screen, and the way you perceive knowledge is something is very much on the individual side of it. I do understand the distractive nature of digital world, but I think so that's human nature, right? So we have our own ways to distract ourselves, irrespective of digital world or not. Even if you see, when you're talking about printing and talking about how the information was shared, yeah, I always get amazed by M, who sat with Thakur and kept on making notes. So if M was not there, thinking in a modernistic way, in that day and age, that was the digital world, pen and paper, right? That was the digital world. It would not have been possible because pen is some kind of a digital component in those days and age. So even M had to use some digitalization component. That's why we got Kathamrit. Otherwise, without M, there's no possibility of how the teachings. And in contrast, Thakur gave on a daily basis, so much wisdom on a daily basis. And it was only shared with 10, 15, 20 people who came to the Dakshineshwar and or even Kamar Pukur or at the temple, to gain that knowledge. But because of those digital equipments, pen, paper at that particular point of time, now sometimes I think, why only M has the advantage of Thakur? Why can't I have that advantage of Thakur? Because this is the new age talking about it. I want to have the same experience.
So how do you?
So
try
that's
to
where
replicate that
I'm
digitally?
going towards it, and I'll talk a little bit later on because it becomes too much of a distraction where you create a digital Thakur through AI. But I'll talk about that later.
By the way, for those who don't know, Thakur meaning it's referring to Sri Ram Krishna.
Yeah, sorry, that is
whose name I order this.
I call him with love,
Is it?
Thakur and things like that. But I think a lot of other people also call him with love. But so let me tackle the negative components, right? Of course, we need to do digital detoxing. Too much time on the screen is distraction. Too much of anything is a distraction, right? The Vedantic view, if I want to put back into that particular scenario, the concept of yukta, which is balance, which is again a Vedantic view on how do you create that balance in your life, right? And again, the digital world talks about interconnectivity, self-discipline, through in a different way. So when you want to detox yourself from this digital world, you go back to the Vedantic view and say, okay, let me meet people, because the other side is social distancing. Because I'm in front of my screen, my son is sitting on the dining table on the opposite side. We both are absorbing knowledge in our own way, but through our own screens. So how do you remove that part? How do you meet people with common thoughts? That's why we are all sitting over here. What we call in the Vedantic view satsang. So we need to do more satsang. All right. That's exactly what digital detox mean. That you need to meet like-minded people, start communicating and things like that. The other part is about sharing knowledge. All right. Well, how do you do sharing of knowledge? Now, if you see the social media side of it, they are also sharing something, all right, which is relevant to some other people. But in the positive side of it, if you gain that knowledge and then reflect upon itself, what we call Atma Vichar, like where in the Vedantic view part of it, where I'm thinking about how do I absorb this knowledge? And that's why that distraction is not really helping. The digital distraction is not really helping because it is making you more hungry in a shorter period of time with a lot of information. That's why people keep on flicking, right? From one information to another information. And God knows from 50 flicks, they might have acquired some knowledge about something they did not know. And the smartness of that particular digital world recognizes that, okay, this person likes, he has spent or she has spent 5 seconds more on this particular short knowledge. So next time it changes, the algorithm changes and shows them the similar kind of information. So we are not saying knowledge is not being acquired, but how do you process that knowledge is something where you fall back on the original balancing act of yukta, which is defined by the Vedantic view, and say, okay, I want to be self-disciplined. I want to absorb that information more and things like that. So
that's what the educationists worry about,
Exactly.
that reflection, that stopping and really absorbing what you've easily gained.
Exactly, because the accessibility has changed. The view on accessibility of information. again, interconnectivity. So if you see social impact, community, and communication are the three basic fundamentals the new generation is asking us. But okay, I want to be interconnected, all right? I want to have a community, social impact through my actions and things like that. So it's a different view of the same philosophy. But they are saying, but I don't want to use your pen and paper medium, which is nothing wrong in that, things like that. Now, again, I'll go back to a little bit of broader experience. Why can't an AI bot do prayer with me? I really don't understand. I always feel very lonely when I'm doing prayer. Well, and you might say, but prayer needs to be done alone. Like, why? Why can't I do with my satsang now? They are all digital satsangs. They are bots. They are doing prayer with me. They're helping me being close with my thoughts. They're helping me to manage my emotional distractions. They're helping me in acquiring knowledge. They're helping me be more closer to my God and my beliefs and things like that. So there would be a time where the digital priests they will not change the fact of leaders like this because it doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have wisdom. Okay. But we should be very accepting of the fact that there would be a generation which is coming up, which are saying that can AI be my digital spiritual companion who can help me? Because see, right now, and I'll end this thought, how many people will use Alexa or Siri to say, I'm not in a good mood today. Can you play a good song? And Alexa or Siri will say, okay, do you want your favorite singer is, for example, Arijit Singh from the Indian perspective, or Bob Dylan from the Western perspective, and they will play a soothing song for you because you are not feeling well. Now, why can't I tell my digital companion that the day was really bad? Can you please help me out in coming out of this notion, emotional turmoil? And the AI says, first of all, Vivek, let's calm down. Let's do a 5-minute meditation. All right. And then with all this knowledge which we have acquired, 5,000 books, 10,000 books on spirituality, they are all embedded in that. And the AI has the smartness to say, okay, I do not know the Gita 16th Adhyay, 3rd verse, which is perfect for my situation at that particular point of time. I don't remember that. But the AI companion will say, based upon 16th Adhyay, 3rd verse, it says, the distraction of life or the stresses of life needs to be managed this way. So it is helping. It's helping. The AI might help us in managing our emotional. So as much as people are thinking that digitalization might have distractibility, well, I'm saying, yes, I understand. Anything in excess is poison. But why don't we view from the other perspective? There is a statistics done that women age 65 and plus would be more lonely compared to men. All right. So now what we are talking about is now elderly isolation. Why can't the spiritual digital AI companion help them in having that relationship and things like that? So again, very, very distracted viewpoints and very aggressive thought processes. But as much as we want to get away from the negativities, which is social distancing, that is massive, you are socially disconnected, privacy data issues. A lot of people are losing millions of dollars because of privacy issues, security issues, and things like that, right? So those are the things which definitely digital world doesn't really help. Okay, there are always bad elements irrespective of digital world, or irrespective of digital world. And if you even see the knowledge sharing as well, there's good knowledge and bad knowledge. Okay, so I do understand the digital world has problems, but it can also be converted into the way we interconnect and share that information. how many people, I think so everyone would over here would have heard about telehealth, right? Remote locations, people are not getting treated, they are dying, infants are dying, mothers are dying, parents are dying, and we were not able to help them. Even Australia being such a remote and large nation, we have got a lot of issues with health provisions in remote areas, you know. So telehealth really helped in doing that. I did a project in Singapore, and it was a very emotional project. It was during COVID times. The age 12 to 15 kids were committing suicides because they were not getting the right kind of help. There was a social organization called Saint Maritans of Singapore, which were trying to help them. So they said, let's do a call center. So anyone has a problem can call us. In all reality, that generation doesn't call. So when I got involved, I said, call? Who calls? My son doesn't call. He's 12 years old. He'll only message me. He'll message me from upstairs that I'm coming downstairs. All right. So you are expecting this particular person to give you a call, have a chat with you. Not this generation. So we converted that into a digital format, which understands the emotions of the chat through AI. So now, previously, they were all about that chit chat. The person sitting on the other side of the phone was listening to this chat, making whatever notes they felt was the right for that particular child. Next time he's not on the shift, so some other person is talking to the same child. Now with digitalization, first of all, we were able to record the history because they were all chatting. Through chatting and AI, we were able to understand the emotion at that particular point of time, that what emotional senses this particular person is facing. And based upon that, we used to escalate the incidents. We reduced that by 27% in 6 months' time. All right. So that was a very, very positive influence of digitalization in this, especially talking about that mental illness, talking about emotional illness, talking about society, social impact. So there was a very positive connotation coming out of it. They were in that world because of digital distraction, but they came out of that particular world through digitalization. So that is the view I have for distractibility and the accessibility of this digital world.
I don't know how apocryphal it is, but I'm sure this is true, that Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook, one of the ways he came up with the idea of Facebook was after he visited India and he saw the interconnectivity of the community. You know, I mean, compared to the Anglo background of North America, he noticed there was this greater connectivity, and that gave him an idea about, this is something that digital world can help enhance. And the other thing, getting to loneliness, I was very surprised to read recently, loneliness now is one of the big causes of ill health. And I've explored an app. So going to the digital world, there's an app called Stitch. It's for the over 50s, and it's the older generation who suffer most from loneliness, of course. And it's brilliant. So it brings together these older group. They organize events. So through the app, they're organizing to get together in person. It's not for just simply, you can chit chat, yes, through the app, but it's all about bringing them together and doing things together in person. So
again, the digital world is following the Vedantic view. Social, interconnectiveness, sharing of knowledge, which creates the wisdom through that app. So again, the digital world definitely follows the fundamentals of Vedanta to come out of it. So it's very interesting. And of course, mindfulness, like, I don't know, there are so many apps on the internet where you can just say, I want to learn meditation and things like that. And they will at least teach you whatever way it is, you know. So I was talking to Suresh Maharaj, which is the Atmesh Anandji in Brisbane. And I was arguing with him about certain concepts of philosophies. And I said, no, okay, in that case, teach me meditation. This was like 8-9 years ago. And I was like, teach me meditation then. Because you already meditate. I said, yeah, but it is informal. Why don't you teach me? They go, no, I can't teach you. It has to be taught by a particular teacher, with your guru, and things like that. I said, my guru is Thakur. Where do I find Thakur? Yeah, how do I do it? All right. And my initiation guru has passed away. So now you are the spiritual leader. Now you see your responsibility. All right. So he started laughing and he started giving me books and things like that. Brilliant. 4 or 5 books he gave me, amazingly written, things like that. It was his, I think so. You can see few of them in this library as well. But now, a month ago, I asked Swami, if I create a digital agent, a digital AI component, which really is helping me to meditate, when I put all these 50 books of meditation into it, it recognizes that, okay, this is my need. He said, this is brilliant. I said, I can call that digital companion of mine, Suresh Maharaj. Because I can say, Suresh Maharaj, today I'm not feeling well, just please help me meditate. Suresh Maharaj is helping me out in doing meditation and things like that. So I'm just giving you the views of how digital world can be proactive, profound in its own way. Okay. Of course, we talk about isolation, which is a big topic, mental health, social distancing. But the only way to come out of it in this digital, you won't be able to stop the digital growth, but you will definitely be able to use digitalization as an enabler. It is not the solution, but it is definitely an enabler, okay, to bring the aspects of Vedantic view, create that yukta, which is balance, things like that, understands ourselves by self discipline and understanding, and things like that, with atma vichara. You're thinking about yourself and giving space to each other and things like that. So I see a lot of linkage that this digital world was created by people who truly believed in Vedanta.
Mark Zuckerberg actually went to India to meet a guru.
I disagree with
Yeah,
that thought,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'll tell you the real story, how he formed Facebook, but we'll talk about that
Okay.
later.
Yeah. Look, we better move on. And this is where this rise of the nomad. This is something that's very interesting, and it's a very positive aspect. Rise of the nomad. It's a new type of itinerant worker, the nomadic knowledge worker. They're young and highly skilled. They travel the world with backpacks and laptops. Their office is wherever they choose, from a balcony overlooking a rainforested valley in the mountains of Bali to a backpacker lodge in downtown Manhattan. The nomad typifies the enriching lifestyle options the digital world provides. And studies have shown, the academics are onto this, they're starting to study this phenomena. Studies have shown that these nomads have developed cultural intelligence, and that's an ability that helps them to navigate diverse cultural landscapes. I find that very interesting. They are creative, imaginative, innovative, and I like this. This is a quote. They can work with almost anybody, anytime, anywhere. I love that way to describe that. I saw them. I was in Bali a couple of years ago, and in the villa next to me, I saw there was a young guy. Every morning, we're overlooking this beautiful rainforested valley, and he's out there on his front balcony with his laptop, and I'm peering over his shoulder. He's got some spreadsheets open, and I realized he's here, he's working. He's here maybe in Bali for months, and there he is. He's working for some corporation or got his own little business going. Then the implications of this are significant because through these nomadic knowledge workers, the burgeoning global knowledge economy and the burgeoning global knowledge economy, there's a breaking down of all these fixed frameworks we've had, like national borders of being wedded to a particular corporation, of even to the extent of needing to go for extra degrees or extending a specialization. they kind of learn, they learn, they're very, very adaptive. So they're increasingly dynamic and flexible. And the way they're describing it, they're spontaneously improvising and adapting all the time and focusing just on what they really need to know. So in other words, look, what are the implications of this? Well, to go on, they're more connected to people, ideas, institutions, and organizations. So anyway, you get the idea. They're very, very flexible. They're not locked into anything. And that means they're learning. They're learning all the time. They've got broader skills. So they represent, maybe when you want to relate it to Vedanta, I think that's what Vedanta should be instilling in us, this skill to be, the way I describe it, I think I'm culturally ambidextrous. You know, I can move between different cultural worlds with ease. I'm at home in various cultures, and I'm wishing that more and more of humanity is like that. That's going to lead to a better world. There's more understanding. And I see that's what these nomads are probably going to help to usher in. What are your comments on this?
I'm so thankful because it has given you and nomads like that a digital democracy. All right. I think so. It has made people more democratic to express their view in this digital world. And if you see, the digital democracy not only comes by inclusion and interconnectivity and communication, it also comes by sharing knowledge, working with each other. There's a whole community feeling behind that. So yes, these nomads are the outcomes. They are not the creators of this digital world. So if you see, digital cities are created, through that digital infrastructures are created, so that digital knowledge is spread out, and hence comes the nomad, the digital nomad with, I call it digital democracy, you know. So that's my simplistic view.
Yeah, it is a very interesting phenomenon. Now I'll go to the final slide, and this is getting really to end up how to best manage the digital world. So mindful internet. So obvious ones, phones and computers. Let's remember that they're tools. Like all tools, they are for us to use and control. They shouldn't use and control us. That we have to always remember. Then they recommend too that to be careful, digital world can give us the tendency to be sitting more at a desk in front of a screen or interacting with a screen, and we kind of can lose touch with the natural world. So they're emphasizing, make sure you get outside, you get out into nature. I know in Japan, there's a recently, just in the last few decades, they've had a problem in Japan with some of the office workers there literally working themselves to death. And so to help, one professor came up with the idea of forest bathing, shirin yoku, and Japan, if you've been there, it's got a lot of beautiful forests there. And so they encourage people to go out into these forests and to be very mindful and to really absorb the natural world, take it in, breathe it in, and to soothe yourself and remove the stress. So that, yeah, forest bathing is a bit of a thing that we're hearing about now. It's very good for reducing stress. And Aldous Huxley, this is a few decades back, but he was a bit of a futurist, and he used to joke about, with the rise of technology, with all the endless pushing of buttons, he was saying maybe we'll grow an extra finger on each hand, and then he was concerned we'd become. I mean, he was a bit cynical about it, so he said we'd become like simpletons, you know, we're what he called six-fingered imbeciles if we're not careful, just mindlessly pushing buttons. Then avoid multitasking. I know there's a lot of emphasis on multitasking, so the people are warning, saying don't do that. You've really got to try and focus, give things your full concentration. You'll be prone to more mistakes, amongst other things. Of course, they say make sure you don't lose touch with the printed world. Do read books. Do try and read a bit of printed material every day. That's a very fundamental skill we developed centuries ago. Then, of course, as Vivek's been touching on quite a bit, the wise virtual world. There is so much there. There's so many spiritual things there to participate in, to tap into, to learn from. And why not? Let's plunge in and take full advantage of that. So that's all I've got to say. Any concluding comments, observations, Vivek?
I think so. Very well said, because as you know, the digital world brings a lot of positive influence to it. Um, Even this hall is now digitally connected through Zoom, and a lot of people can be part of this particular discussion, right? And that's a very positive thing. So in the future, it might be called metaverse, because it is, you are going into that space and feeling that you are in that space. It's like that nowadays. We have got all this virtual goggles where you can almost talk, you feel as if you are there, things like that. And I would be very interested in the future if I can be part of that kind of project where I can really be with Thakur through that kind of stuff. So anyways, that's a thought. It's a food for thought. It's a food for thought. But I'll fall back on the my previous comments, and I'm repeating them right now, is about creating that yukta, the balance in your life, about digitalization, about Atma Vichara, where you are taught self-reflection and understanding that much better, and things like that. Satsang with communities, with your like-minded people, talk more, express yourself more, digitally or in person, doesn't matter for me, but in all reality, have that constant communication and interactivity going with the larger community where you can share your thoughts and feel that you belong. Yeah, because that is something which digital world needs to have, the sense of belonging. And the last thing which I feel I would like to end with is about dharma. Okay, and that dharma is about ethical responsibility we have. Use the digital and the physical world with ethical responsibility of dharma, which is a big concept of Vedanta. And if you keep the balance right, if you teach your kids to have that dharma in, they will make sure that it is there to guide them rather than distract them.
Well, thank you very much, Vivek, and thanks for agreeing to participate in this. And thanks for your
It was a pleasure.
very
Thank you.
valuable
It's a great opportunity.
insightful contributions to the panel. Thank you. So we will have the next item now will be some chanting by some of the children. We'll do a little bit of setting up for that. Just give us a moment.
Om Asato ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead me from unreal to real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditam astu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sham No Mitra Sham Varunaha Sham No Bhavatvaryama Sham No Indro Brihaspatihi Sham No Vishnu Rukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayu Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tadmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Madhuvataditayate Madhuksharanti Sindavaha Madhvena Santoshadihi Madhunaktamutosi Madhumatparthivagum Rajaha Madhudyonastuna Pita Madhumano Vanaspati Madhumagum Astu Suryaha Madhventavo Bhavantunaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamavevashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram Krishna Paramastu.
We'll now be having a talk and PowerPoint presentation by So, just give us a few moments to set up.
Actually, before I start, I found the previous session regarding the digital world extremely interesting, because nowadays we get a lot of global knowledge, and it is very difficult to decipher what we take in and what we don't take in. And if it can be deciphered according to our needs, and we take a positive attitude to the digital world, it can help not only materially, but also it can help spiritually, because we are all going towards one goal. So now I take this opportunity to start today's talk with my sincere and humble pranams to Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, and Swami Vivekananda to guide us and help us to understand the deep spiritual truths and to enable us to find our original divine heritage, that is our own true original divine nature. Now, before I come to the topic of Karma Yoga and practical Vedanta, I will like to express my depth of gratitude to Pravrajika Gayatri Pranaji for her invitation for me to talk about Swami Vivekananda on the birth celebration. Why I regard it as a double blessing is, as I was coming to Australia, headquarters had requested me to talk about Swami Vivekananda on the auspicious occasion of Swami Vivekananda's Tithi Puja in headquarters. And since I was coming to Australia, I had to pleasantly say no. But I felt bad because I felt it was an opportunity that Swami Vivekananda had given me. But I was extremely surprised when Gayatri Pranaji sent me a message. She didn't know anything about this. She said, would you like to talk on the public celebration of Swami Vivekananda? So I really felt doubly blessed, because I felt that I had not irritated Swami Vivekananda. So today's topic is Karma Yoga and practical Vedanta. Now, when we talk about Karma Yoga and practical Vedanta, please do not be scared by the topic. The topic sounds very, very serious. And before I start on the topic, I will like to say that quite a few of the faces here are not new, because I have come 3 or 4 times to Australia and I have met all of you. And I feel very blessed and a privilege that I've been given this opportunity again to talk to you, because you're more friends and devotees than strangers. Now, regarding Karma Yoga and practical Vedanta, there is an underlying theme. Now, what is this theme? Regarding Karma Yoga and practical Vedanta, they go hand in hand. And the underlying theme of this whole thing is Swami Vivekananda. Obviously, all the lessons that he learned from his matchless master, Sri Ramakrishna, is Swami Vivekananda's teaching on how we can de-hypnotize ourselves to establish our own divine heritage, our own divine nature. And this is exactly what Karma Yoga and practical Vedanta is going to be all about. It is nothing of my own ideas. I'm only going to put it in a very simple language which Swami Vivekananda expressed globally. Now, before we start on this topic, I'm sure majority of you, in the same way that I myself think, nowadays it is not observant. Actually, nowadays, you all will be knowing that no country is isolated. The whole world is one. Why? You can just imagine in India, at present, there is a very holy function going on in North India, in Prayag, where there is a confluence of three rivers, the Ganga, the Jamuna, and the mystical Saraswati. The special event about this particular event is that in 144 years, all the stars and planets come in line. So it is a very auspicious occasion. So you might say, or maybe it's auspicious for the Hindus, but you will not imagine there are millions and millions of people coming to Prayag for this function. Why? They are going to have a bath in those holy rivers on particular timings. Now, you might have asked yourself, is that holy bath so important that I come from all parts of the world to attend to that bath on these particular timings? But you can ask yourself, I ask myself, why do people go all those miles? And India is India. India is not a Western country. You have to go through a lot of hardships. To the comfort level is just basic. There are sages that we have never seen. They stay in the Himalayas. There are devotees. There are human beings with extreme curiosity. There are the politicians. All of them are coming. I myself thought to myself, why this is happening? Then I felt that all human beings are looking for something, because a bath in that holy river, not only does it absolve you of all your sins from past generations, but also many people believe that it is a freedom from bondage. So for us, when we go, what is the bondage we are thinking of? Yes, bondage from poverty, bondage from illiteracy, bondage from sickness, bondage from want. We want to be free from all these bondages. Why don't we go one step higher? What Swami Vivekananda teaches us? Why you go for bondages of the external world? Why don't you probe into the internal world and get that perfect bondage? Bondage from all misery of all types. And that is where you establish your own true spiritual nature. Now, this lecture is basically, it's not a lecture actually, because my intense desire is that you can listen to this discussion. I will call it a discussion. And if you people can take home one or two ideas and start practicing it in your lives, I feel that is worth it. Because we might be in the monastic order, but we also are struggling to achieve that ultimatum. And all of you are in the same boat. There's no difference between you people and I, because we're all struggling for that spiritual freedom from bondage. Now we are celebrating the 162nd birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. Now, who is Swami Vivekananda? Swami Vivekananda is one of those, we call it the Sapta Rishis. There are 7 rishis who are in a highly illumined realm where when Sri Ramakrishna decided to come down, you read in the Gita, when adharma is prevalent in the world, then incarnations come down to bring back dharma in an adharma society. So when Sri Ramakrishna was going to come down with his divine consort, Holy Mother, he also wanted Swami Vivekananda to come down, and Swami Vivekananda was one of these Sapta Rishis. These Sapta Rishis are 7 rishis that are in perpetual meditation, very, very highly purified realm, where they are in constant meditation for the goodness of humanity. You can see why is there peace in this world? Because of the depth of thought that goes on even in the depths of the Himalayan caves, where these noble, high spiritual thoughts percolate into the world, bringing peace to humanity. Now, one of these Saptarishis came down with Sri Ramakrishna for the benefit of mankind. Now, Swami Vivekananda, when he came down, what basically happened, he was going after the search for truth. So when he met Rabindranath Tagore's father, Devendranath Tagore, he asked him, have you seen God? His one perennial and perpetual question, have you seen God? He wanted to realize God, the ultimate truth. But at that time, Bengal was a very vibrant society, but he could not get the answer he wanted. But somebody told him, why don't you go to Dakshineshwar? There is a holy man. So he went to Dakshineshwar, and his first visit at Dakshineshwar, you can see Sri Ramakrishna and Narayan. And Narayan asked Sri Ramakrishna, have you seen God? Does he exist? Sri Ramakrishna, in his very calm manner, he says, yes, I have seen God, but more clearly than I see you. And I can show God to you as well. Actually, Swami Vivekananda was a little taken aback. He didn't expect that answer. And if you look at Sri Ramakrishna also does not look like a normal individual, because he's always immersed in the thought of God. Then at the feet of his matchless master, Swamiji himself went through Samadhi. He experienced Samadhi, and he was very, very fortunate enough to have the experiences and the benefit of all the 12 years of sadhana that Sri Ramakrishna went through to prove the harmony of religions. He went through all the religions, but to prove that all the religions are different opinions leading to the same path. That means all these are different pathways according to the inclination of the worshipper to realize God. So there was no need for this unnecessary hatred between religions. And moreover, he heard from Sri Ramakrishna about the divinity of man. Now we come on one day, Sri Ramakrishna takes classes for his direct disciples, And we come to the this thing where he's talking to his direct disciples. And here what basically happens when he's talking to his direct disciples, he discusses all religions. Here he was discussing about the Vaishnava scriptures, and where it is stated the three main tenets of the Vaishnava scriptures is devotion to God, company of holy company, and compassion to human beings. Soon as Sri Ramakrishna heard it, he says, compassion to human beings. Who are we to show compassion to human beings? Insignificant as we are, you can only serve the divine in man. Now, Swami Vivekananda, for him, when he heard this, he realized this is a very, very important, what would you say, not a point, it's a very important principle that Sri Ramakrishna had stated, in the sense that we are serving the divine in a human being. We do not care what the outer covering of that person is, but inside that person is divinity. He went out of the room and he told his brother disciples, if I get an opportunity, I will proclaim this globally. He got this opportunity at the World's Parliament of Religions in 1893. When he went to the World's Parliament of Religions in 1893, he proclaimed the truths of Vedanta as exemplified by his master. Now, the truths of Vedanta is the principle, is the divinity of man. So, what he could not understand is when he was attending the World's Parliament of Religions, seeing the conflicting ideals of religions and culture, Swami Vivekananda wanted to find the common platform. Basically, the World's Parliament of Religions was there to establish the supremacy of the Christian religion. So what he said is, here we are not trying to prove Hinduism or Buddhism or any other religion. It is the basic, what is the basic reality in religion? This is what Swami Vivekananda wanted to show. So he was saying, he wanted to find out what is the common platform. Now, the common platform is the real identity of a human being. Now, when we go to our age-old tradition, Svetasvatara Upanishad, you find the rishis of Yoga. Shrinvantu Vishve Amritasya Putra. Now, when you come to the meaning of that, what is the meaning of that? Listen, citizens of the world. This is rishis of the Svetasvatara Upanishad. Listen, citizens of the world, children of immortal bliss. He did not say, listen, citizens of India. He says, listen, citizens of the world. Why? It's a cosmic view. Cosmic view means it enables not only this world, but all the universes. There are many universes that exist. It's just not the only this earth alone. Listen, citizens of the world, children of immortal bliss. There is an area of spiritual awareness which I have arrived at, which I have experienced, and I have come back to tell you that you are not ordinary mortals, but verily the children of immortal bliss. Swami Vivekananda in the Parliament of Religions also said, let me call you children of immortal bliss. So when he calls us children of immortal bliss, what does he mean? He's directly directing to the divine heritage that resides in us, the Atman, not the outer sheath, but the inner, glorified, immortal bliss of the Atman. Swamiji then says, this is the common platform, the real identity of a human being. What is the real identity? The real divine nature that is within us. Now you people will say, how do I dehypnotize myself? I'm already divine, but how I have become hypnotized? How do I dehypnotize myself? Now Swamiji says something which is very simple. It is not complicated. He has made everything, to tell you the truth, even when I first came across Hinduism, I was completely confused. There are so many gods and goddesses. Who do you pray to? But after going through the RV literature, they have made it so simple. And being nowadays, the modern world is very rational. They use their rationality to find out the truth. You cannot camouflage them. So here, the Vedanta and the yogas are all based on rationality. And it's on rationality that one has to convince oneself. So Swamiji says, go on to man-making and character building noble ideas. Now, when he says man-making and character building ideas, what does he mean? Man-making and character building means we have to have noble ideas. Without noble ideas, how can I make myself a better human being? There are three aspects: Shravana, Manana, and Nidhi Dhyasana, all Swamiji's philosophy. Shravana is listen and hear and be receptive. That means why? You need information. Yes, go through all the religions. And I think this is where Robert and Vivek Trivedi's ideas regarding the digital world comes in. Yes, the digital world exposes you to a vast amount of knowledge, but you must be very positively orientated to get what you actually want, because time is very limited in the human world. Life is short, plus time also is limited. So one must know, to make myself a better human being, what should I listen to? There's even now YouTube is open, everything, all avenues are open. What do I listen to? What do I hear? Why? I believe in something. I must be focused on that to create a better understanding, make myself, my faith in that idea strong, and that faith will lead me to a conviction. Now we come to Manana. Manana is basically my own rationality going through all the doubts and saying what is real and what is not real. So Manana is very important. Then we come to Nidhi Dhyasana, where your personality is transformed by these noble ideas. This is the acquisition of knowledge. Actually, basically what happens is the development of a strong personality. And a strong personality can only be formed with a background of very noble ideas. What does this strong personality, what is the basis of? There are four faculties. One is rationality, that is discrimination between the right and wrong. So what is the right and wrong? Right is ethical, moral ideas where What is right is anything that will lead me for the establishment of truth, the establishment of thoughts on God, not any hurt to any human being. And what is wrong is on the opposite side. So I will only absorb what are, from my rationality, the right things to do. Then you have the emotionality part, love, sympathy, compassion for fellow human beings as a part of service. Then ingenuity. Ingenuity is when one uses one's own ideas. It is yes, because you are the Atman. You have got your own discretion, your own ideas, how to carry out worthwhile projects for the betterment of humanity. And last but not least is the willpower. Willpower is a very, very strong faculty. Once I make up my mind, I will do this. Nothing on earth will stop me from doing it. It is my strong willpower. You can see even in material things, if people are determined to get to the top of their business, they put all their willpower. It might not be a spiritual pursuit. It might be a real material prospect, but they put everything into it and they get to the top of the ladder. They are successful. Now, what Swami Vivekananda says, you are trying to make noble ideas to become a better human being. But where are the distractions? There are distractions, but nothing to become disheartened about. These distractions come where your energy is dissipated by karma, intense desire for worldly things. There's a desire also should be controlled. Why? A desire, if I keep giving into my desires, a stage comes, it's like by putting ghee onto a fire. It keeps on blazing more and more. We also have to rationalize on our desires. Is this going to help me to have noble ideas, to go Godward, or is it going to take me in an opposite direction? If my desires are not satisfied, I go into the next stage of anger. Anger because I have not been able to satisfy my desire. And I become lower, more greedy. I want more desires. Why my colleague has got a second car? He has got 4 houses. So I also must have a second car and I must have another 3 houses. This is greed, but it is uncontrolled. Then it's the confusion because you're completely confused. Your rationality is not working. Then jealousy is obviously there because one is jealous, because one is comparing oneself on the materialistic aspect. And all this is, behind it all is the unripe ego. Ego in the sense of I mane, I, the body-mind complex. For me, my real address is not an address in Australia or India or whatever it is. My real address is this body-mind complex. For me, this body-mind complex is everything. I am such and such. I'm wearing this. I belong to such a society and all that. But I have forgotten my own true original nature, which is divine. What Swami Vivekananda says, how do I control these so-called faculties? What he says is, if you have anger, don't vent it out on somebody else. Vent it on yourself. Get angry with yourself because you could not control your emotions. And get angry, why? Next time I will control my emotions better so that I do not give in to ignoble ideas. I stick on to my noble ideas. If you have jealousy, why are you jealous of a colleague? I should be jealous. There is a person with saintly attitudes Why could not I absorb those saintly attitudes? So I'm jealous of that. I could not aspire to such a high standard. So what you are doing is you're giving benchmarks for your aspiration. Slowly, slowly, you're also climbing up the ladder so that you get more and more noble attitudes, which leads to more purity. Now, Swami Vivekananda had combined all these in his 4 yogas. That is, Jnana Yoga, basis is rationality. Jnana Yoga is knowledge. Jnana Yoga is summary of it all. What knowledge? If you study the Upanishads and all the Vedas and all that, you come down to one line. Brahman is real and all else is illusory. So the Jnana Yoga, it is through rationality you come and analyze your own mind and convince yourself what is real and what is unreal and stick on to the real. Bhakti Yoga is emotionality where you exercise your compassion, your fellow feeling, and you feel for fellow human beings. In that sense, you express your emotionality. Raja Yoga is control of the mind, concentration, full concentration on whatever you do. And Karma Yoga brings in the ingenuity aspect of your service. Now, what Swami Vivekananda actually, for the present day world, he brought in the concept of Karma Yoga. That is, service to man is service to God. Now, when we look at Karma Yoga, this Karma Yoga applies to all of us, not only in the monastic setup, but also in every aspect of service to humanity. That means we can make our service to humanity more of worship, even if you don't want to put the word worship into it. I come across another human being, and if I'm cordial and friendly with that human being is not going to start wordy war with me because I am friendly. I'm coming in a very humble attitude and I'm talking with you. So how is it that you can start a big fight with me? Here, regarding Sri Ramakrishna, it was stated that when Rama incarnation came, it was the arrow. When Krishna came, he had the disc, Vishnu. When Sri Ramakrishna came as an incarnation, what was the weapon he had? Humility. Humility. He was so humble, all these drunkards and actors and all that, everybody accepted Sri Ramakrishna because he was so humble. So for us in this yuga, our correct weapon to utilize is humility. If you go with humility in front of anybody, that person will not have anything against you. Why humility? Is because the person who I'm approaching is nothing but the divine. The same divinity that is within me is in that same individual. So I am asking for an opportunity that I can serve you. Swami Vivekananda said, don't be on a pedestal and think you're serving somebody. You're fortunate that person is giving you an opportunity for service. In that sense, you are upgrading your spiritual evolution. So this was a very good way of doing it. But when you start doing Sheva, what we actually, when you want the maximum effect from Karma Yoga, is that we have to do it in a completely selfless manner. Selfless manner in the sense there should not be any selfish attitude. Selfish attitude has got many, many levels, not the gross level. There's a subtle level also. Oh, I did this act of service, but somebody in the corner saw my act of service. So I want a nod of appreciation. No, not of appreciation. I do it as an act of worship. Nobody should see what I'm doing to help. You don't have to help medically or by health, education, cultural, anything, even in a family. You've got your family, your children, your wife, your husband. You are serving them as aspects of divinity within. So you are actually progressing spiritually. Now I wanted to bring this one because Sankaracharya, he says there are three blessings, three rare blessings in human life. Now, what are these blessings? One, a human birth. Second is desire for liberation. And three, the guidance of a spiritually enlightened person. A human birth, do not take it easy. It's around 80,000 to 1 lakh of births after which you get a human birth. So now when you have got not only a human birth, you're in the company of like-minded devotees and you want a desire to get rid of your bondages. That means you have to try hard. It depends on the proportionality of your effort so that success will come. And as Swami Vivekananda puts it so simply, it is not as difficult as you think. Now with this, we come, just find this thing regarding practical Vedanta. Now, practical Vedanta, when we come to practical Vedanta, it is actually what is the divinity? Who is the divinity? That is the divine within myself. Practical Vedanta is exemplifying that. Now there's two types of knowledge. One is Paravidya, study of the spiritual sciences, and Aparavidya is study of the material sciences. Now, when you say study of the material sciences, you know, is unlimited. And you can say with this digital world, it's even more unlimited. You only must know what to choose and what not to choose, because you cannot do without the material sciences. You have to utilize the material sciences to make your spiritual study, your spiritual evolvement much more successful and fruitful. Now, when we come to Paravidya, that is the sublime knowledge, study of the spiritual sciences, that is a self-imposed, disciplined education, which means man-making, character building. You saw what Swamiji says, man-making, character building. You have got your manana, you have got your Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, then your personality development, then the 4 yogas, implicitly follow what Swamiji says. And then what do you find? There is a process called being and becoming. You find that you are, not that you're evolving into a divine personality, you're already divine, but you're uncovering that so-called covering, the covering that is covering your divine personality that is within you. So in this way, you are becoming awareness of the divine within, and that is the goal of Paravidya. Here, what we actually what you basically have to do is that many people, this is why we want to help out the younger generation. The younger generation, as you have noticed, they are not interested in the traditional scriptures. It is too much elongated, too much complicated. They want the short term. They want the quick processes. So they say they want something through the 5 senses. And when they cannot get something through the 5 senses, through the external organs, as we are called, external organs, eyes, ears, nose, then taste, touch. These are basically the 5 external organs through which we get all our knowledge coming from the outside world. But the younger generation, they are not convinced. As you say, as they were saying before, those days we sit at the feet of a guru. Those days are now changing. Now information is coming from through the digital world. For the younger generation, they have to have something positive. Otherwise, certain places in the West, they doubt the existence of God. So you will see in many lectures, does God exist? But in our case, it's not a matter of God existing. God does exist. How do we manifest that divinity that is already within us? Now, Swamiji says, he even said it in America, when somebody says, "Oh, Swamiji, how is it that we can realize our own divine heritage?" He says there's nothing very big about it. You're already you're hypnotized. You dehypnotized. And Swamiji says this needs an attitudinal correction. Now, when he sees an attitudinal correction, what do we mean? Actually, basically, is the understanding the understanding is, who am I? Yes, who is the I that is within me, the real I? That is the amness, that is the I am, I exist. The person exists within us, that is Atman. This is beyond the 5 sense organs. So what basically happens in Vedanta, according to this amness, is incarnation, saints and prophets, they have proved our true original nature. And this is, they have proved, who am I? And when it is, who am I, is not this body-mind complex, which I myself call, yes, I am such and such, but no, I am not this body-mind complex. Really, I am the Atman that resides within me. Now, why have we been hypnotized is because of a distorted reflection in my mind regarding my own inherent divine nature. I start calling myself a sinner, full of faults. I can't see noble ideas. I can only fill up my mind with very much distorted thoughts. So why? Why I should be like this? Why can't I take a turning moment? Why can't I put in noble ideas? Your personality is a bunch of habits. Now let me form new habits. So my personality will become nobly trended. So here what they say is, how do I dehypnotize myself? By dehypnotizing myself, Swami Vivekananda says, we are hypnotized about our original nature. Amness, I am, I exist. So Swamiji says, to be dehypnotized, we need an attitudinal correction, constantly thinking, I am the divine. So when you think I am the divine, what is it? Which is the truth. I am the divine. Only I have been covered up with false ideas of body consciousness. So when I keep on thinking, I am creating a new habit in me, that I am the divine. So when I do this habit-oriented thing, then what basically happens is that new habits are being formed in me. And these new habits are basically going to change my perspective, the way I think. And the more noble thoughts I think, the better it is. And even if you go down the hill and ignoble thoughts come into your mind, don't be frustrated. Go back. Correct yourself. You yourself are your guide. You yourself, your mind becomes your guru. And you yourself will see that people also, when they come to you, they're happy when they talk to you because of the congenial atmosphere that you display. here. So in the end, egocentric is the unripe ego, which Sri Ramakrishna also says must become the ripe ego. The ripe ego is a servant of God, and you become into a divine-centric existence. That is by constant remembrance of the divine. When I have a divine-centric existence, what basically happens is the egocentric, separatist, individualistic attitude makes place for the awareness of the divine in my life, which is already there. Life is full of ecstatic divine joy. Slowly, the force of past habits get eroded because I have formed new habits which are very noble attitudes. And this slowly forces out, erodes the old habits, and I realize thou art that. That is Aham Brahmasmi, thou art that, Tattvamasi. You are the divine. I become one with the divine. So you can see the way Swamiji has built up the whole strata from stage by stage, from Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, then we go on to personality formation, then we go to the yogas, and eventually we come to karma yoga and practical Vedanta. And as I told you, this is directly proportional to the intensity of your desire to reach the height of oneness with the divine and to divinize your life. When you come to that stage, then what basically happened, there is a change because you have manifested your divine original nature, which is part of you, which is not different from you. You're not bringing something from outside. You're already divine. You have dehypnotized yourself from your hypnotization, as Swamiji puts it. So what happens? You live in God all the time. You're with God all the time, and for the sake of serving the divine in every moment of your life. That also happens by the grace of God. Now, if I can just, I think I've got around 5 minutes. I just want to give a little few incidents where when you come to this level, you are one with the cosmic power. There is a cosmic power. And you cannot say there is no cosmic power, because none of us can tell that I can go outside of this room and I'll do A, B, C, D, E, because nothing is in our hand. Everything is controlled by a higher power or authority, whatever you might call it. So here, what basically happens is that when we think of this, you go back to Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna's life really is something very, very appealing, something we can follow. And Swamiji has brought that life down to our level so that we can understand it. Because once Sri Ramakrishna was outside in Dakshineshwar, and when he came into his room, then Hriday said, why is it on your back? There are a whole lot of stripes and your back is all red. So he was a little surprised and he says, yes, it's a little painful. Then only they later realized that two boatmen on the Ganga were fighting. And those slaps of the boatmen was registered on Sri Ramakrishna's body. On the other time, he goes to Deoghar. He's on a pilgrimage with Mathur. Mathur is extremely rich, to Varanasi. Then Sri Ramakrishna sees a whole lot of poor people. Poverty is quite rampant in India. Poor money, really poor, in the sense, no oil for their hair, no proper clothes for their body, no food to eat. So Sri Ramakrishna went and sat among them. He says, I'm not moving. So Mathur said, I don't have enough of money because I have to go take you to Benares. He said, not necessary. I'll sit here with the poor people and you make them happy. If there's no money to go to Benares, it does not matter. I'll go back to Dakshineshwar. And he did not move from that place till all those people were fed, given oil for their hair and for a bath, then cloth, and also food. Then we come to Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda is not less. One day, Swami Vivekananda is pacing up and down in the middle of the night in Belur Math. Then Heshan Maharaj, he comes out and he says, Swamiji, is there anything wrong with you? In the early hours of the morning, you're pacing up and down like that. Then he looked at his fellow disciple and he says, I don't know. In some part of the world, many people are dying and many people are getting injured. So he felt extremely pained. And he was saying that he doesn't know money. He was so much involved in that he just could not sleep that night at all. In the next day, they say, at that particular moment, in another part of Asia, there was a tremendous earthquake where many people lost their lives. So you can see to what extent they had evolved. They were on a highly spiritual level. They had combined themselves with the cosmic power. And there's nothing to say that we cannot achieve it as well because we have got it within us. Why? Because when you go and serve your fellow human being, unless I can feel from inside what you are going through, how can I serve you? I cannot serve you because there'll be a barrier between you and me because you're different, I'm different. We actually, Sardamat, and we are thankful to Swami Vivekananda for one thing. Soon as he came from abroad, all you can see in India, majority of the rishis and the saints are all restricted to the Himalayas. You don't see them in the society. But Swami Vivekananda brought down these rishis to the society and said, serve the society. By serving the society, you'll get whatever you want for your basic minimum existence, but you will also raise up the society. By raising up the society, what basically happens? So he coined the word, the Ramakrishna movement came into existence. Atmana mokshatam jagat hitaya cha. So double. You get your own liberation by selfless service and you serve society. So society is also gaining. Society in front of them, when they see holy people, holy actions, they themselves say, let me be noble, let me aspire after this type of life. Let me also improve myself. Householder's life is not easy, but even then there is noble aspirations. That was one aspect. Second aspect is our gratitude to Swami Vivekananda. He was instrumental before the Ramakrishna movement that a women's organization should come. He was more keen on a women's organization more than a men's organization. The reason being that during the golden age of India, there were the Gagis and the Maitris. They were highly evolved women. They were, we call them Brahmagyanis. And you know Sri Ramakrishna's guru, Bhairavi Brahmani, she taught him the 54 tantric sadhanas, which is the most difficult sadhana of all sadhanas. That was taught to Sri Ramakrishna by his guru, Bhairavi Brahmani. So Swami Vivekananda wanted that. He says, yes, the women must come back to that old golden period. So he was keen that Sri Sardhamat must come into existence. And because it was the foresight of a rishi, Sardhamat came into existence. And Sardhamat, not only does it do work among women and children, but also it is for the empowerment of women. And it is working a lot in its own quiet way, unobtrusively, because we're very conservative. Things are moving. And I will be surprised, I will be just one little incident, because Sardamat runs a charitable hospital, and all of you know, majority of you have not only contributed, you have also encouraged us to continue with our services. And I'm sure David Robert will show you a little small video on the activities of the hospital. But one little incident which I will tell you, which will really, these things, Mane, will touch you. We were in the hospital when one NGO came to us and said, can you help these poor people? Then they said, because my Mataji is very strict. That's what I keep on looking at her. She's a very strict punctuality. Even in the ashram, we must come at the correct time to eat, at the correct time. And you in the hospital, so I don't have any routine. So with Mataji, I'm in a little problem. I keep on looking at her. So here, we were surprised. This NGO came with 40 case notes, all nicely done. So I said, who are these patients? They said they come from Sundarban. Now, if you know, Sundarban is one of the remotest places in West Bengal. You can't go by road. Now, maybe they have made a road, but the time I'm talking about, you have to go by this boats, and then there's no light, there's no electricity, there's no water. So these patients don't have any medical help. Poor people, they're staying in huts. And when they stay in huts, what happens is there's no furniture. They're so poor. So you will know they could not sit on the floor. So why they could not sit on the floor? Because most of their uterus and all that had come outside. So it was not possible for them to sit on the floor. So they had to have an operation. So they came to us and they said, will you help out? Now, when we stand for Swami Vivekananda, we can't say no. He wanted us to help these type of poor people. So these 40 people come. My goodness, what we thought and what we had to get over, they're anemic because they come from a very poor setup. So the best thing is we don't mind. We thought we'll start giving them nutritious food. My goodness, what does it mean, nutritious food? They won't eat the rice. So I said, what's the difference between this Calcutta rice and your rice? It's different. We don't eat Calcutta rice. He said, my goodness, if they don't eat Calcutta rice, then what rice do we give them? Because the basic diet is rice, and then we mix it up with dal, fish, and all that to give them. Others, how we can go for the hysterectomy is a major operation. Somehow, by God's grace and prayer, we got through, and then 40 operations were done. Then one fine day, the doctors said, we will not have the tiffin, the snacks that you send to the OT, we will not take it. So I thought maybe they have got a little angry because 40 operations and we can't give anything to the doctors. So I went up to the OT just to calm them down. I said, anything wrong that you don't want the tiffin? We try our best to give you the best tiffin possible. Then they said, no, you look what we have got. So I said, what have you got? There were 5 mangoes, nicely peeled, cut, and then put on a plate for the doctors. I said, where did these mangoes come from? They said, one person from that Sundarban is very far away. How he knew the presence of this hospital, I don't know. He came with 5 mangoes to show his appreciation to what this hospital was doing. So the doctor said, this is our satisfaction and this is what we wanted. We don't want anything else. And finally, to tell you, Holy Mother is very, very quiet. She's very unobtrusive. You people also have understood. So it's okay. We talk about Swami Vivekananda, and through Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna. Now in our hospital, the contractor had done a beautiful picture of Holy Mother, because Holy Mother is a person who guides Sardama, and embossed it onto the wall of the floor that contains all the important facilities, the OTs, the OTs. Then after that, we have got 4 OTs, plus the ITU, plus the dialysis unit, plus the high density dependency unit. On that, you can see just outside the ITU is a picture of the Holy Mother embossed into the wall. So many people come, we depend on donations. So it does not mean that all of them are Sri Ramakrishna devotees, because there is a CSR activity in India, corporate social responsibility. So then when I take them around, I show them the whole hospital, because obviously we need donations. When we come to her picture, or rather the embossed picture inside the wall, then I tell them she is the owner of this hospital. So they look completely money amazed. Then I was thinking, what is going on in their mind? They don't know anything about Ramakrishna Vivekananda literature. Then they look at me and they said, is it possible to go and meet her? So I thought to myself, if they can meet, then I would have tried to meet her long time back. Then the moment I do pranam, then they know that she is the divinity. But what I'm seeing is her influence globally is moving very fast. People are getting very much involved with Holy Mother and her influence, and she's doing it in her own way. We are not proselytizing or encouraging anybody, but people come to us and ask us about Holy Mother. I myself am surprised how she's slowly penetrating, and motherhood of God, a universal mother, is more touching, and everybody needs a mother. So in that way, I'm telling you that I'm very grateful to all of you for having given me this opportunity of saying something. I only appeal to you, please take this some little point and inculcate it into your daily life, so you also get the happiness that we get by following Swami Vivekananda's philosophy is nothing but Sri Ramakrishna. Thank you.
Just a few announcements. I'll be quick because lunch is ready, and I'm maybe all keen to have some lunch out the back with us. Please stay back. We've got our regular activities recommencing from next weekend. Next Sunday morning, we have the monthly Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna talk. And just to draw your attention to, the other regular events will be the yoga class will be next on Thursday, the 6th of February. The yoga class recommences from 10 to 11:15 a.m. And the Friday night discussions recommence on the 7th of February from 7:30 p.m. I think most of you are on our email list. If you're not, you can see me afterwards. If you'd like to be on the list, and we'll keep you informed about all the upcoming activities. There's one upcoming activity that's of particular interest. It's a very special event. That's on the 16th of March. We've invited the Australia's Race Discrimination Commissioner to come and be the main speaker at a special event. It'll be in the afternoon. He's newly appointed last year. And we've also got other distinguished speakers, Professor Desmond Cahill. He's the Emeritus Professor at the RMIT University in Melbourne. We've got the member for Strathfield, Jason Yatsen-Lai, he's coming, and one of the councillors from Burwood Council. They'll all be speaking as well as Gachapanaji. So now we have the lunch out the back. Please stay back and get a share of that before you leave. Thanks very much for coming today.